Friends, for all the doom and gloom that sometimes we see in this industry, there are genuine things to be hopeful for. This is a trend that has been spurred on by the geniuses over at Valve. And while, of course, yes, our boys over at Nintendo have been keeping the handheld dream alive for a long time, a number of things are converging. Something is changing in PC gaming. So let us start thinking outside of the tower case. What if you could get the relative uniformity of performance that consoles see, paired with a more open-ended approach to playing games that comes with PC, with all the tuning, the tweaking, and the control that you could want? Would that not be amazing for everybody? The reality is, handheld PCs are a real proposition now. The earlier generation is here. There are some breakthroughs that I need to talk about with you that will speak to the future. This, friends, is the good shit. I'm here for it, just like you should be here for our sponsor. Displayed, they are hands down the best way that you can customize your space. You can customize, collect, and rearrange your whole setup with ease because of their amazingly easy to use and renter-free mounting system. And the best news is they have got an awesome discount for you right now if you follow my link in the video description for Black Friday. 35% off 1 to 2 displays, 38% off 3 to 4, and 44% off 5 or more. So here's my latest stack. Of course, it's your boy Arthas, obviously. They do actually have the officially licensed Blizzard art, including new pieces by Bayard Wu, who, I mean, man, nails that key art. Beyond Arthas, you guys know I love science fiction, I love space, so I picked up these really fun cosmic horror posters that are like from a NASA collection. They're so cool. Now, the thing that's really killer is their magnet system. First, you've got the protective layer that goes on your wall to keep the wall surface safe. Then the magnets go on that, and then you just pop your disc plate on and it's done. And I love how magnets, are magnets, but also make it easy to position your art perfectly. You know, if you've ever, say, mounted something with screws into a wall and realized the angle is ever so slightly off. They ship worldwide in 4 to 5 days using excellent protective packaging. Each is QC'd and hand signed by their master of production. They plant a tree for every disc plate they sell. And of course, since it's all magnets, swapping your collection around and getting new ones to spruce up your setup is dead handy. They're an awesome product, they're a fantastic way to support our channel, and you can check them out in the link down below. Of course, we have to start with the Steam Deck. It's awesome, people have bought it in droves, and the new OLED version is actually an even better product than Valve sold it as being. Yeah, it's OLED, but it's also OLED with a really damn good HDR implementation. It runs better, its battery life is significantly superior. There are so many upgrades that are going on in this new piece of kit. And with the OLED release, something has changed. Here's the deal. All efforts by Valve to build deeper hardware integrations between, obviously, their hardware, Steam OS, etc., the Steam platform, well, to be honest, between Steam machines and the Steam Link, yeah, those things kinda failed. They didn't get second versions. Except now, where the Steam Deck has got a second version, and that is the thing that really matters here. People are excited, yes, for a new screen and all of these components, but I think more importantly, that Valve are willing to continue to push it forward and basically give it a mid-cycle upgrade. That is a massive takeaway, and it shows that Valve have got a level of commitment. This bodes so damn well for the future, and Valve product designer Lawrence Yang told this to The Verge, quote, "We're confident that in the next couple of years, we'll have something we can call a proper Steam Deck 2. We don't want people to think we're doing a yearly refresh. That's not how we're looking at this product cycle." So yes, a product cycle that, won't really mimic the one that this company likes to do to extract all of our money out of us. No yearly product cycles is of course good from the perspective of not having your wallet milked, but also for developers of games, it means that Steam Deck Verified means Steam Deck Verified. You have a hardware target, and that is something that obviously when we think about the release state of many video games on the PC these days, yeah, can be a problem. But at least if we can say, hey, Steam Deck, we can go for that. that's pretty damn good. And I've got to say, looking at even our own game, The Pale Beyond, I can see some of the player stats, and let me tell you, I was absolutely goddamn shocked just how many people were playing on Steam Deck. We will, in fact, put the most recent numbers up on the screen for you to look at now, so you can see the percentage of people that are actually engaging with our game on a Steam Deck. And to be honest with you, it's goddamn crazy. But in a way, it shouldn't be too surprising because Valve have already claimed that they have sold multiple million of the Steam Deck thus far. So yeah, we're basically getting a mid-cycle upgrade to the Steam Deck. We have got confirmed essentially the Steam Deck 2. Multiple millions of these things have been sold, and because Steam Deck Verified exists, it means there's a performance floor that developers can target, and essentially a seal of approval that, while not always perfect, yes, does mean that the consumer can actually make more informed purchases. And in fairness, versus just about any other handheld gaming device, well, they can't say Steam Deck Verified. Even, of course, if they have like better hardware or something like that, Steam Deck Verified is a Valve thing running on Steam, which, to be honest, is a really killer bit of like integration, I think, for them. Of course, there can be a few issues. SteamOS, of course, is Linux, and that can mean a fair amount of work for the average user who's got a non-standard use case, like, say, you know, running your Xbox on PC stuff, or maybe the Epic Games Store. Like, if you're not used to using Linux or that sort of thing, yeah, there can be more sort of technical things. But in a way, that is an entirely reasonable thing, because ultimately the Steam Deck has made a whole bunch of those hardware choices to maximize efficiency and get the most out of the hardware that they've got stuck in there. But that does mean in some cases, like, say, of course, The Last of Us, when a game comes out in Steam, there is almost an automatic expectation that also means that some games will have some sort of, you know, Steam Deck Verified mode. Yeah, it was a bit odd from my perspective when The Last of Us Part 1 was getting Steam Deck related headlines, but I suppose that is where we are. Now, in a way, this sort of thing is not really the case. Technically speaking, Steam Deck Verified is a free option for developers to choose. Basically, you kind of hit a button, you send your game in, and you find out from Valve what it ends up being. That, of course, depending on the scale of your company then, getting up to a stage where you can be Steam Deck Verified, that might require some, you know, engagement with Steam, some extra work. Not every company will want to do that, even if their games could work perfectly decently on a Steam Deck unofficially, and that has led to some odd situations where EA games can in fact be broken by Steam Deck updates, and EA actually facing complaints from their audiences in spite of them in a way never really claiming that their games would work on the Steam Deck. Now, before we go and look at the competition and some of the innovations that are going on, we do have to talk about the gaming powerhouse, technically, that people already have. And this is where I have to say, don't you guys have phones? Most of us do have phones, and I'm not saying we should start swiping our credit cards on mobile game trash, but there is an interesting development where the iPhone 15 is getting native ports of the Resident Evil 4 remake. Not like some old busted version. Literally the Resi 4 remake that we've been able to play on our PS5 and Xbox Series X. That is running on an iPhone now. That's insane. It's getting a native port of that, of Resident Evil Village, of Death Stranding, and Assassin's Creed Mirage, while Assassin's Creed Jade is a mobile-first game that is functionally just Odyssey in scope and quality. This is absolutely cracked stuff that is going on, and here we can see Digital Foundry's coverage of literally, like, look at this footage. This is Resident Evil on a goddamn iPhone. Now let's have a little think about the performance here, as of course Digital Foundry brought up in this great chart. Okay, iPhone 15 Pro versus Steam Deck. What are the stats actually coming out with? For the iPhone, 2 performance cores at 3.78 gigahertz, 4 efficiency cores at 2.11 gigahertz, a 6-core custom Apple GPU with 8 gigabytes of LPDDR5 RAM, and a 51.2 gigabyte per second memory bandwidth. Now let's take a look at the Steam Deck. 4-core AMD Zen 2 at 3.5 gigahertz, 8CU AMD RDNA 2 at up to 1600 megahertz, 16 gigs LPDDR5 RAM, and an 88 gigabyte a second memory bandwidth. Now, in a way, what you're actually seeing there is, oh, Look at these things actually trading blows. In a way, it's a little bit more than that, though. Of course, what's going on here in the Steam Deck, that is an x86 instruction set, whereas the iPhones are running on ARM. Of course, the ARM instruction set. I'm not going to go into the whole RISC, I believe, like reduced operation set stuff, but it's basically one of the reasons why, like, those ARM chips are essentially stupidly power efficient, right? Basically, some of the new Apple laptops that are essentially built on the same technology as that iPhone chip, they, watt for watt, in terms of efficiency, absolutely clobber a hell of a lot of what's going on with even new generations from Intel and of course also from Nvidia and AMD. And it's just one of the things that kind of goes on when you are doing one of those ARM chips. And that's why I'm going to be talking about Qualcomm soon. Point basically is, though, when we are talking about mobile hardware, right? When we're talking about that, and of course mobile hardware means a Steam Deck, obviously, performance per watt is extremely important. There's loads of games in the Steam Deck. You could maybe run a game at 100 hertz, but you should probably run it at 60, literally because that will draw less power and your battery will last longer. We are now at the realm where a new, in a way, form factor is kind of possible in a way that still basically is like full fat computing going on. That's really goddamn exciting. Now, for some of what Apple are doing here, to kind of put it into normal, like, gaming community terms, they're essentially doing their own version of NVIDIA DLSS, but pretty much fully integrated into all aspects of, hardware and all that stuff, and it is all very nice and impressive. This is basically an insane level of performance and fidelity that is available on a thing that is a small thing, of course, in your pocket, that basically is able to pull that off while drawing remarkably less power. Now, of course, mobiles have been able to do decently impressive things. I didn't even know that there was an iOS port of BioShock, but here's a graphics comparison, I believe, in the iPhone 5 versus the Xbox 360, which is a rather hilarious thing. Now, this is just Apple, and Apple are right now quite the leader in this, like, sector of ARM computing. For the longest time, the iPhones were basically clobbering what the likes of Qualcomm were able to put out in their Snapdragon chips that were going, of course, into a lot of the Android phones. But this is actually where things can get rather interesting. So, everybody in full-fat gaming, both PC and console, are seemingly starting to think more carefully about doing ports from x86 to ARM, because all the phones are running ARM. There's, of course, Microsoft putting quite a lot more effort into Windows on ARM recently, which is really damn interesting. Now, you would then have to think, what if you could get the performance of, say, one of these new iPhones or, a maxed out iPad or something? What if you could have that, but SteamOS is in fact able to run x86 somehow, right? What if that happened? That may be 5 years, but can you imagine just how promising that would be? That you could have the form factor and all the great things that your Steam Deck has, but way, way better performance per watt, meaning your games run way better and you're able to have a longer battery life, something obviously that the Steam Deck OLED does have as a large improvement over its predecessor. And here's what's interesting. Qualcomm are basically launching their more full-fat ARM computing war against Apple. They recently had a pretty damn big event. They tried to make a big song and dance out of it, and this is fantastic for us as consumers, because if the only people pushing that sort of like high-performance ARM computing at a very large scale forward are Apple, well, no, we want competition in that market, and let's be real, we want this in a way that eventually Gabe and the crew can access if they want to do maybe the Steam Deck 3, or the Nintendo could access if they perhaps wanted to do the Nintendo, I don't know, Switch 2 or Switch 3, something like that. You get my point. So let's talk about other hardware. Now, for a very long time, there have been other attempts at something like this. We had the Razer Switchblade, and then we had basically the Razer gaming tablet that was sort of reminiscent of a clunky Nintendo Switch that I believe Total Biscuit really enjoyed to use on plane rides. I believe Razer were saying, oh, look at this, kind of a weird Nintendo Switch looking thing that can play Battlefield 3, albeit probably at like 30 FPS in the lowest settings, but I suppose a fairly interesting. But what Valve has basically done is it has made the version of this that for loads of people just works. Even though this is a product sector that actually quite a few companies have been getting in on. I mean, take a look at what, I think they're called Anyo, I forget exactly how to pronounce them, but I mean, come on, look at their designs, like the slide and the flip. The flip kinda does look like a Steam Deck Nintendo DS-like situation. The slide that is able to slide out its form factor and have a keyboard for you. That's fairly interesting. Then, of course, I've got the Lenovo Legion, which has Joy-Con-like controllers, but the controller you can actually detach, put on your table, and essentially use as a kind of like sort of holster, like, you know, like a gun holster kind of grip styled mouse input device, which is really cool. And then, of course, the likes of the ROG Ally, and this is where I'm beginning to get quite excited, and it does have a little bit of a story. I ended up meeting somebody at BlizzCon who was telling me about basically they really love their Steam Deck, right? But they actually did their proper like job interview. I'm not going to say anything else about the job, but like it was a technical interview anyway. But they actually did that on a Steam Deck, and essentially had enough of a Steam Deck setup going where their deck was basically able to just work as this really good portable computation device. Now, Steam Deck 2, I cannot wait, but things are going to get even more interesting. I've been taking a look at some things like the company, I think they're either called Xreal or Nreal. They basically rebranded, which is kind of annoying. But basically, imagine you put on some glasses and you plug a USB-C cable into your Nintendo Switch, and now in these glasses, which have, you know, that effect where like you put a different electrical current or something through, through glass, and then it changes how much light it blocks. It's basically got that, and from the perspective of your eyes, you have a massive screen in front of you, which would now mean, okay, what happens if you are on an airplane and you want to get some work done? You can just put your keyboard on the tray table, pop your glasses on, plug it into your Steam Deck, bam, you're good to go. You have a full setup with you, and you have that in a way where you do not need to enter Mark Zuckerberg's big metaverse, and you can essentially just wear some, monitor glasses. That is a really cool future. So the idea then, it almost brings us in a way back to some older eras of technology where you had essentially the dumb terminal in the mainframe, where now in a way, just like a lot of people who have bought modern gaming laptops, they don't need a desktop because they can take their laptop to work with them. They can maybe stop off at the bar or coffee shop, get a little bit of work done, then they can plug their laptop back into where they already have, their little dock and their monitor, the keyboard, their mouse, and now it's their full gaming setup, and one device can do everything. Right now, that device is a laptop. 10 years ago, do you remember what a gaming laptop looked like? They either looked like shields you could legitimately defend yourself with, or large things you could probably bludgeon people with. Now look at what a modern Razer Blade looks like, and that is why I say to you, yes, the Steam Deck, it's a large chunker. Steam Deck, it is big chungus compared to Nintendo Switch, big chungus. However, imagine the Steam Deck of 10 years from now. Imagine how powerful that will be. Just like how the gaming laptop sector was completely revolutionized. And that means, my friend, we have an exciting decade. A new way of playing PC games is in fact awakening. It is one that is not based off, streaming stuff to our phone using Xbox cloud gaming. No, it is one based on us being able to have PC that just goes in your pocket like a PSP did. Is that not cool? Valve are leading the charge, and I am already excited for whatever the hell the Steam Deck 2 is going to be, and I think you guys should be as well. And if the sales of the Steam Deck are anything to go by, this is something that a lot of people have wanted. And ultimately, we're in a world where Nintendo just do not put enough horsepower in their machines, and Sony, unfortunately, after the Vita, just seem to have no interest in this form factor. And that has meant that there is a slice of gaming that many of us enjoyed years ago that just hasn't existed. Now, it can. that's it for today's video. I like bringing stories of hope wherever it is possible. So let me know what your Steam Deck journeys or stories are. Let me know what other devices you may be using that are in this emerging product category. I wouldn't say emerging, I would say a product category that's got a new resurgence that now has the wind in its sails. It's good times. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.